Greetings everybody, I'm Paul from FitSpaz RECOVERY. That's what this episode is right now, and as you can see, I've been updating some of my system a little bit so you have a little different visual. I'm using an entirely different mixing board which produces a different sound, so I've been doing sound testing. I don't like this mic in front of me, so it's just, this is a work in progress. I'm trying to enhance the quality of the show, but that's superficial. If I can't deliver the content, then I'm not really bringing anything worth a hill of beans to you. So it's important to me to deliver you value with the content. And so today, this is what I've been working on. I've been setting this up, and it's thrown my whole workout area into disarray. And so for me to be able to do this, where I don't have to spend a million years preparing to do it, I'm gonna have to reorganize my whole basement studio in a way so I can still do my workouts, because I'm all about producing things very well but quickly and efficiently. And so we'll see how this goes. I don't know. It's a work in progress, and it's a constant evolution for me to improve this for you guys. But this is the workout I did today. It's called 21 Day Fix Extreme The Fit Challenge, and it's a good one. I did it in my fit club that I went to last year, and I knew then that I really liked it. It builds one move on top of another move, and you go in rounds repeating the same thing all the way up to like 15 moves or something like that. I had my foot, as some of you might remember or know, I sprained it at the beginning of the month about 20 days ago, and it's been getting better. It's finally to the point where I can start doing stuff like this, so I was really excited to do this. I originally woke up today planning on doing a shoulder workout, and I was like, I don't know. I just wanted to try something fresh and new, so I took this DVD, I popped it in, and I'm so glad I did, because it proved to me that I can start doing these other kinds of workouts that are a little more including my foot. So really happy about that. And yeah, that's the scoop. Really, I loved the sweat. I loved not only sweating but my heart beating, just the breathing. I love that kind of test. I love the euphoria I get out of it. And the big statement I'm going to keep coming back to is fitness and recovery from substance abuse. Those things go hand in hand, and it's a control issue, okay? Which leads me also to what I'm going to want to talk about today, the first step in recovery, whether it's Alcoholics Anonymous, Marijuana Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. It's about admitting you don't have control. It's about being honest with yourself, letting go of those delusions that you hold on to, where you're like, I'm fine, I'm living functionally. You're denying your problems, you're denying all the reasons why you have a problem, which I've talked about in previous episodes. Hurting your family, wanting to change your mood, your life and your schedule revolving around your need to get high before you do everything. All these things are important, okay? So the point of control is, the reason I focus on fitness as one of those things you can get into is, like, we feel out of control, all kinds of things in life. We feel like we don't have a say in our destiny, right? Well, every single day I get up and do a workout, I feel like I'm in control, and I love that feeling. And you should enjoy that feeling too. And I hear a lot of people, as I say this, I imagine a lot of people with their excuses like, not me, it's really hard. I know how hard it is to get in that habit. But emotionally, I've developed this habit to the point where I feel like, whatever else is going wrong in my life, this is what I have. This is what I can control in the morning, my routine. The meditation, the prayer, and the workout. I can choose what workout to do. And no, it's not easy. Sometimes when I hit play, I'm like, geez, am I really going to do this? And so I hit play, and bam, I get into it. And I tell you what, you compare what it feels like starting out compared to that feeling finishing, which is amazing. It feels awesome. And that's why I'm telling you, you have control. So I say it in all kinds of shows. You don't have to buy a workout. Gosh, I would love it if you guys were like, hey, Paul, I want to get on the team. I want to get on Team FitSpaz, and I want you to help me and encourage me to start doing stuff. It's not about you having to spend money. It's about me helping you, finding a way just to start out, testing yourself a little bit, and like starting walking. Even if it's get up off your couch, do stretches. I move my arms around. I get up and I'll move my arms around just to get the blood flowing. And it's like that. What is that? That may seem like nothing, but it's actually something. And that's silly, what I just said. So the first step in the 12-step program is step 1. We admitted we were powerless over marijuana, that our lives had become unmanageable. And whether we're talking your problem is marijuana, alcohol, pills, narcotics, whatever it is, the first step in this program is you admitting you don't have control. You being honest with yourself about the fact that you could have a better life emotionally. You could probably get along with people around you better if you weren't doing this. So take my word for it as somebody who's gone through it. Now I know that, there's a debate about how serious marijuana is as a drug. And I've also heard people say, who I think are operating on an honest playing field and with an honest mental state, that it really is hard to get over. I have a darn hard time getting over marijuana, especially the first 7 to 10 days. My mood is off the charts, and for a month or two, I don't even think it's that stable. So I go back to this all the time. If you've been hitting your brain unnaturally with a chemical cocktail, no matter what it is, your mind is not what it normally should be, and you have to do things, and you have to show discipline and patience to get back to a normal playing field. And it's an individual thing also, whether it's genetic, whether it's your personality, whether it's the emotional issues you're dealing with in your life. It could be that that you are just innately a more emotional person, and you deal with things more emotionally. So treatment is going to have to be catered to you, but all I can do is tell you what works for me. And sleeping right, following patterns in the morning, doing things I definitely have control over makes me feel empowered to seize control over this. And so, what are you talking about, Paul? You have to admit you're powerless. Yeah, I'm talking about, and I do. I'm powerless over marijuana. If I smoke it now, it's going to be a short, tumbling fall to being back into my old habit, and I'll have to get all the way back to the mental state of being miserable with it again. And so I was on Facebook this morning, and I posted this picture of when I was doing my old radio show, Marijuana Radio, and the caption was me standing in front of a big crowd at the Boston Freedom Rally, speaking to the crowd. Thousands and thousands of people, all, as far off as you can imagine. I was speaking to this crowd, and I was very nervous in that crowd, by the way, speaking to them. And the caption says, "I was but once somebody, but nobody." And that's true. And so what the heck was my point that I was going to lead into? Gosh, you'd think I was high right now for how I forgot what the heck I was saying. Being honest with yourself. I'll just come back to being honest with yourself. In what sense is your life unmanageable? For me, the regular aspects of my life were kind of manageable, except for relationships were strained by the fact that emotionally I was depressed and very frequently angry, and I was overreacting to things. And so I had to seize what control I have over things that I can. Let me go back to how important it is, I think, in the recovery process to control things that you can control. And that's like the first part of the serenity prayer, right? Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can. Right there. The courage to change the things I can. To me, the way that speaks to me is seizing control over the variables of your life where you can make a difference, where you can become a better person, a healthier person, more solidly grounded, more healthily spiritual. You know what I mean? Those things are out there. But what happens when you're in a drug-induced haze and emotionally you're a wreck? It feels like you can't control anything. So by giving up marijuana or giving up your drug of choice, you, in my opinion, when you're high on those things, you paradoxically think that you're in control when you're not. You're like denying your problems. Maybe not you specifically. Maybe people out there I'm talking to are very good at admitting the types of problems they have. I think I was good at it. I think I realized it, and it was really hard to get to a place where I was ready, willing, and able to make the changes that I needed to make. Okay? For real. Like, I have videos from years ago where I was just saying things like, I crave sobriety. And you see these videos where there were also clips where I was screaming at the camera, furious at people for feeling like they wronged me, like feeling like everyone else created my problems. But when I look back, because of the emotional state I was in, because of the fact that I was high and angry, I was creating my own problems. I was burning bridges with people who I should otherwise have great, meaningful relationships and friendships with. Do not take for granted what I'm saying. How many years do we go on doing that? I spent so many years going back into the 90s. I remember expressing these feelings like, oh, I don't want to be high all the time. And the blowback I would get from certain stoner friends, and I think people in denial about how it can cause life to be more difficult when you're in a fog. And when you become sober and you realize this more calm way of being and not so up and down all the time, how could one not appreciate that? Do you know what I'm saying? I most definitely appreciate that. We just have so many irrational fears. The time spent on trying to rationalize that way of thinking. And it's funny, just now what I was saying, thinking about people I should have been friends with, people I should have had lifelong friends with. Don't you realize some of those differences we had? The crucial central role our excessive usage of marijuana had in destabilizing our relationship, and not mutually. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying everybody's at fault to the extent that they may be having a problem with it, okay? I'm taking responsibility for my anger at the time. I'm taking responsibility for the way I lived, being so furious at people that, my anger that I remember I had for given individuals, it's dissipated a lot. And I don't even have to go make, I'll get to another step sometime about making amends with people. I don't know how to make amends because of how sour and nasty things got. What I would hope is that people see this and they realize, wow, something deep and profound has changed in Paul. And you know what it is? It's investing time being sober, deliberately, with the intent on getting the consequences and the results of that sobriety. With all the things I mentioned, the calming my spirit, cultivating relaxation, which is key in both my prayer and my meditation every single day. I'll get deeper about God, but this is not like a biblical perspective of God or my higher power. I'll have shows, maybe I'll go through each and every step and talk about what I think every step means. And maybe that can be me reinforcing my sobriety, me bettering my situation. Trust me, people. Just trust me a little bit, okay? Trust yourself. Trust yourself to admit you don't have control. Oh, man. So when I get silly like that, all that is me being like, what am I going to say next? I don't know what I'm doing. Make something up and go on. What did we do? We play games with our stash. I'll just read this paragraph and see if it sparks something in my brain I want to talk about. I've been talking from it a lot. Many of us spent years trying to control our use of marijuana. We justified our using and rationalized that we could control it. We may have vowed to use it only on weekends or to have only one joint a day. I do recall that. And I was able to discipline it on occasions for months and years at a time, depending on the circumstances. And I even enjoyed it more when I was smoking less, and I was less of an emotional basket case. So I think the less you use, the better off you're going to be, all the way to the point where you're using nothing, in my opinion. because when you smoke, suddenly the mind is like chasing that feeling again. But when you get over it, you don't feel like you're chasing it as much. Some of us promised ourselves, oh wait, I got that. Sometimes we tried using only other people's dope, not buying it for ourselves. We played games with our stash, gave our supply to friends, hid it in nooks and crannies that were hard to reach, or buried it away from home. I never did that. I did have a friend, interestingly enough. He has a time-controlled lockbox. So he used to stick dope in there, and it wouldn't come popping out of there until the lock timer went off. And I think it worked for him, except when he was around me and I was loading the bowls. All these efforts failed us, inevitably. They do. Even though I just said it worked for my friends sometimes. It's only just like a stopgap between you and your next using. It's really not succeeding. You might succeed at using less, but until you use none, you really don't know what you're missing. We learned that we could not control our using. Eventually, we returned to smoking just as much and just as often as ever. And I find that's what happens after long periods of sobriety when I relapse. It's just like a hard tumbling fall back to the worst case scenario. Yes, sirree. Eventually, we returned to smoking, just as much, if not more. Yes, always more. Everybody with more. Come on with your more. Some of us stopped using for a while, but we always started again. Oh man, I've quit a million times. It's just reminding me. But this is the longest I've ever had. 13 and a half months is where I am now, and it's kind of extraordinary to me. Living in the illusion of control, thinking we could control not only our using, but also other people, places, and things. We spend a great deal of energy blaming. Oh, that's like just what I said. So I'm innately built with this perspective already. I've thought about it so much. Yippee, yay me. Blaming others for our problems. We held on to the fallacy of control. Most of us had long insisted that marijuana was not even addictive. God, how much have I heard that? It drives me nuts and makes me mental. That's a hindrance to you stopping to use it and being honest with yourself. I don't want to quit. I like it. After all, and I do miss it. That's the honest to God truth. I do miss it, but when I weigh it against the serenity I have staying sober, intellectually it doesn't compare, but there's still that addicted mind there that's so used to that, running to that, doing that. Outro. Okay, I'm not going to play that yet. I'm just going to talk. Many of us didn't lose our jobs. Our family hadn't deserted us. Our lives didn't seem to be total disasters. We were living in the fantasy of functionality. I do think there are aspects of functionality that are real, but you're in a diminished state. How uncool to be forgetful and dopey all the time. But I also realizing there's that mystical, I would say there's that mystical illusion of smoking marijuana, like, oh, wow, this is amazing, dudes. So, some of us hoped that people in recovery could teach us to control our using so we could enjoy it again. Isn't that something the mind goes back to often, like this daydream of maybe someday, but it just can't be. There's no skill you can learn to control the habit and keep it at a certain level, especially once you've gone all the way indulging with it. I hate the way the mind chases it like that. I envy people that can be like once every few months, and that's really the extent of their lifestyle. I'm like, dude, you're kidding me. That's like what I want. Some of us hung to the delusion that someday we could use marijuana in a moderate and controlled way. That's just what I said, dudes. That's impossible, in my opinion. Except for the few lucky ones who aren't the addictive personality. For whatever reason, they're not addictive people. I envy you. I'm jealous. I'm straight up jealous of you because you can enjoy life in a certain way. I sit and watch people on TV in a bar having a drink, and I'm like, aw, I remember that. I want that. I want that back. So this is my first show, which I hope the sound is okay. It's sort of a test run here. With the upgraded sound and noise. I'm running it through this board, which is a much superior board to my other board over there, and I'm always going to be trying to improve the sound. I have an idea about getting a camera with a professional audio input, way better than this iPhone I'm using to record this, and that might actually improve things another level up. And yeah, I'm gonna have to reorganize my whole basement studio here. I'm Paul, the producer from FitSpaz. This is FitSpaz Recovery, and you can find out more about this stuff by going to fitspaz.com. You can subscribe to the podcast in iTunes or Stitcher if you use an Android phone. You go to my Facebook page and join me there. You'll see my periscopes every day. It's FitSpaz on Facebook, Paul Serini, FitSpaz. I would appreciate if you follow me on Twitter. Twitter handle is FitSpaz Radio. I'll get to you about Periscope. I'm going to ask if I can change my handle there with the company. But that's all I'm going to talk about today. I just wanted to do a quick recording, test this out, see how people might like the new look. I personally like the new look a lot better. What do you think of the new look? The new look makes me feel more passionate. It makes me feel more cool. I like production, and this would be worth a hill of beans if I didn't think I could deliver the goods in an interesting way. So I think it is worth a little more than a hill of beans, and the sum of all of it makes the whole thing better. So production matters to me, sound matters to me, the look matters to me, and not in a vain sense, just in a way that engages people, that interests people. So once again, I'm Paul. This is FitSpaz. I'm going to do a FitSpaz Radio. I swear, I promise to you, it shall happen soon. I'm going to invite Brian over again, and we're going to do something in front of the new setup. It'll be a little more wide angled, but yeah, okay, I'm going on too long. Everybody take care, and I will talk to you later.